I'm in Shenandoah National Park, and this is the Little Devil Stairs trailhead. Same starting point as the last hike I posted. This is the middle of the week, so there's not many people here right now. It's just two of us. Here's the parking area. On the weekends, this fills up. Yep, there it is. The Gray Ghost. Gonna close up the Gray Ghost, and I'm gonna head up this way, and I'm gonna be looking for two different homesteads. You gotta cross Kaiser Run here, one of the feeder streams, and then we're gonna start climbing the mountain up this way and get to a jumping off point. And then I'm gonna look for a Clatterbuck homestead, and then come back down this way and look for a Dwyer homestead. The elevation here is 1,240 feet. So I just crossed over the one of the feeders to Kaiser Run, and on the left, if you look back in through here, you'll see a lot of rock piles back in there. I pointed these out on my last hike, and from looking at the records, online records, this was Thomas Dwyer, 1796 to 1870. So that was this, and then the one I'm going to go looking for later in this hike is his son, Miles Jackson Dwyer, 1826 to 1914. And then the first one I'm going to is Clatterbuck. I don't know when he lived. Maybe I can find out on Find a Grave. Anyway, here we go, climbing the mountain. Here's the main channel of Kaiser Run coming down. Seven-tenths of a mile into my hike. I'm up to 1,450 feet, and I'm at my jump off point. That's where I came from, and over this way, down over the edge there is Kaiser Run. Here's the trail continuing, and from the 1929 map, there was a road or a driveway heading down this way to Clatterbuck Homestead. So I'm gonna start bushwhacking down this way. I have some coordinates from the 1929 map for the homestead, so I'm gonna dial them up, and we'll see what we can find when we get there. Yeah, this looks like the road or driveway. There's the left bank. You can see it's armored up with some rocks. Then it's dished out here, heading down that way, and then here it is armored up on the right side with rocks and stuff. So yeah, doesn't look all that nasty right now. When we get down here to where they actually lived, it's probably going to get nasty, but let's see how far we can go. Okay, I'm just down here a short distance. There's There's a big old rock pile. That's probably 6 feet tall. Here's a little baby rock pile, which they probably used to close off the road, they being the Park Service. There's another rock pile there. So yeah, and it's starting to look nasty down here. Let's head on down and see what we can do. It's starting to flatten out too. Oh, this isn't a pile of rock. This is a big old wall looking down through there. And that's where I came from, up that way. And the road comes down here, and I guess it runs right along next to this wall here. So, and that's heading in the direction I want to go, so I'm gonna step off to the side here a little bit and continue on down, see where we end up. Been following that wall down there. I'm starting to, which is over here. It's it right there. Heading way up there. I'm starting to think that was the driveway coming down through here. Because it heads over there. I'm going over there next because it looks like a big rock pile. I'm within about 50 feet of the 1929 Homestead location. And look, daffodils. So they don't grow wild here in Shenandoah, so there's somebody planted those. Oh, and they're heading on down that way too. This right here looks a little bit like a leveled off, terraced off driveway kind of thing, and then off to the left here are the daffodils. And then behind me right there, maybe you can see that's built up with rock also. And then back that way, up that way is where I came from. So you drop down here, and then this whole area here is pretty cleared off over to there. That looks like the swamp zone. And then over here, it's raised up again with those daffodils right there. And I'm going over here to see what this pile of rock is. But I'm within, this has got to be where the homestead was, because this is where the daffodils are. It's just that simple. Yeah, I'm going to call this the location of the house. That's dug in to the side of the mountain there a little bit, over there a ways, and then this is dug out, and then right there is a rock pile. That part there is kind of terraced off before you get to the swamp zone. And then over here is another pile of rocks. And then back over there, where you see that big tree in the distance, that's where the daffodils are planted. So you could come down up through here, park your car, and then you got a short walk over here to the house. So I'm going to adjust the coordinates just slightly. I'll show you on the map talk. But the location on the 1929 map, it's accurate. It's amazingly accurate. Let me see. I'm within, my GPS is telling me I'm 40 feet. within 40 feet of the 1929 location. So that's pretty darn accurate. All right, let me adjust my coordinates just a little bit, and then I got to figure out how to get from here to the next place. I don't know whether to go back the way I came or just keep bushwhacking. Let me kind of survey the area and see what I want to do. Note to myself, I updated the coordinates for the J. Clatterbuck homestead to this point right here. It only moved it about 40 feet. I'm navigating to a waypoint JC number 1, which looked like some interesting stuff on the LiDAR. I'm close to that now. I'm about 80 feet away. And it looks like what I'm seeing on LiDAR is these great big rock walls. There's one heading up that way, coming down through here. And then it stops here. I'm going to continue on down to the exact waypoint and see if I see anything else. But there's a lot of rock walls. Some of it kind of looks like terracing. I mean, this is huge. These are huge walls. This is multi-generational. I mean, one generation's not enough to place all this rock. So anyway, let me get down here to my JC1 waypoint and see if I see anything else, and then I got to figure out how to get down to the Dwyer homestead. Okay, I'm basically at my waypoint JC1. I'll show you on the map talk. I'm standing on top of this great big huge rock wall. That's heading up towards the trail where I came from. And there's a slight bend in the wall right there, and then it comes on down here. And right there is kind of the end of it. Then there's a gap. But then it starts up again, heading on down that way. Let's see, that would be heading southwest. Heading southwest. And then over here, I see a lot of individual rock piles all in through here. Lots of rock piles. So let me dial up this Dwyer homestead and see how far it is from here. I'm going to have to decide whether I want to bushwhack down there or go back the way I came. Okay, after calling up some waypoints on my GPS and looking at the map a little bit, I figured out that this section of this wall is heading down to the southwest, which is basically heading straight down towards the Dwyer homestead. And it doesn't look too bad going down through there, so I think I might just go ahead and follow this wall down and see if I can make it that way. If not, I can always bail out. Still following this wall to the, let's see, the southwest, and I marked this spot here. This is where another wall from over there heading kind of towards where the house was comes down through here and runs into this wall. And there's rock piles everywhere. There's one there. I see one back behind there. Here's another rock pile here. There's a bunch more behind me that I didn't even bother to photograph. And then I'm still headed down this way. The end of the wall might be in about 400 or 500 feet. Sometimes it's easier to walk along the top of the wall and avoid the nasty. One mile into my hike, I'm down to 1,340 feet. And let's see, I'm within about 75 feet of the end of the wall as seen by the LiDAR. That's the way I came from, just walking along the top here. It goes on a little further, so I'll go down here until I run out of wall. But right here near the end, it goes off at a 90-degree angle that way. I'm going to mark this location and check it with the Shenandoah records. This might be near the edge of the property. So in other words, the interior is that part in there. There's a big rock pile. The interior's in there. And then this is the wall. And then I haven't walked over there, but that looks like a drainage. That looks like a feeder stream over there. So there's the swamp zone. This wall is epic. It's worth coming down here just to see this thing. When I get home, I'll figure out how long it is. .1 miles into my hike. The elevation here is 1,350 feet. And maybe you can see those rock piles there. I got to a certain point on the big wall where I jumped off because it wasn't taking me the way I wanted to go. I'm down here in the vicinity of the Dwyer homestead. I don't know where it is exactly, but this looks like a road. I've been following this. I think I'm going to climb up on that ridge a little bit and swing around this way to get closer to where I think the homestead was. Right there behind that tree is like a creek. So it must be on the other side of the creek. Within about 300 feet of the 1929 location. This whole area is real flat and real swampy, and there's a handful of little feeder streams running around. Everything's all wet. And anyway, I wanted to point out this pile of rocks looks like it used to be a wall or something. I'm going to head over here to the right a little bit to try and get up on a little bit higher ground, and then I'm going to swing wide around here. I don't know if I can get over there, swing wide over this way. The actual location's over in that direction, but that's the swamp zone. So I'm going to get up on a little bit higher ground and go around. I'm within about 200 feet of the old Dwyer homestead location. I'm going to record this location. This is a rock wall. Starts way down there somewhere and comes on up here and stops right there. And then the homestead location is over here in this flat area. I finally got up out of the swamp zone, but just barely. 1.2 miles into my hike. The elevation is 1360. And I am within about 60 feet of the 1929 location for the Dwyer homestead. And it had to be somewhere in this area because that right there is the head wall of a spring. That's been all dug out. That's been all dug out, and it's even kind of got a slope side here to make it easier to get down. Imagine there's not so many rocks in there once upon a time, but that head wall would have been there. They dug it out to create the head wall for a spring, and then that was the pool right there. And then that's the beginning of one of these little feeders that heads on down that way back towards my car and ultimately drains into Kaiser Run. I'll do a 360 here, starting at this head wall. That's looking up, that's sloped uphill. I don't see, it's fairly flat though. I don't really see anything though. The daffodils are up now. If there were any planted here that are still around, I don't see any. I see a lot of water. There's a lot of drainage in through here. Oh, wait a minute. Let me go. When I'm done here, I'm going to head over that way. I see some yellow. Maybe there's daffodils over there. But this is a pretty good example. Man, this is big. They dug this out a lot. I don't know if they had apple trees and stuff. Maybe they were doing more than just drinking out of here. I'll have to check the survey sheet and see what else was here. But anyway, I'm going to go over there and look and see if that yellow is daffodils, and then I'm going to have to start bushwhacking my way out of here because I'm kind of back in here. I might go over there and get up on a little bit higher ground to do the bushwhack, but we'll see. Okay, well, just below the spring where it was dug out is this rock wall. So I don't see any daffodils. I don't know what I was looking at. But yeah, I think, see, my car's back that way, but that's pretty nasty. So I think what I'm going to do is go over this way and get up on just a little bit higher ground and then start making my way back to the car down back that way. See how that goes, because this is looking pretty nasty through here. Okay, based on terrain and nasty undergrowth, which is over there, I was gonna follow this stream back over there on that side, but based on the nasty level, I came across the stream. I'm going to follow this back this way. It's a quarter of a mile or so, and then I should run into the trail, the Little Devil Stairs trail, not too far from where my car's parked. .4 miles into my hike, I'm down to 1,300 feet. I came from over that way in the swamp zone. I crossed over a whole bunch of little feeder streams and stuff. And I'm up here on a little bit higher ground. I think I might be over in the next homestead lot. I'll mark this with my GPS. This is a big old pile right here. I mean, that's probably 6 feet high. And it starts over there. and it goes there. So I'll mark this one, and then I've got to head this way. I hate to say it, but it's about a quarter of a mile that way to get back to the trail. This is a map of today's hike. The quadrangle name is Thornton Gap, 1994. And this was a bushwhack hike. And I explored 2 different tracts of land. One owned by Joseph Clatterbuck. That's track 72. And another track owned by Miles Jackson Dyer, track number 68. This is in the same general area as the last hike that I posted. You come in on Route 614, Kaiser Run Road, and you follow it all the way to the end, and that puts you just inside the park boundary right here. Then what I did was I got on the Little Devil Stairs Trail, same as my last hike, and I hiked up to this point right here, which I call my jumping off point. Then I started looking down here for a driveway, and I found that and followed it down to the Clatterbuck Homestead location right here. Now I'm pretty confident in that location because you'll see in the video there's a whole bunch of daffodils coming up in that area. After that, I was going to bushwhack down to this location right here, which is Miles Jackson Dyer Homestead. I noticed on LiDAR there was a big line right here, and there was another big line right here. So I came over here to investigate that. This turned out to be a huge wall of rock. This area is heavily overgrown, so it was easier for me to navigate down to here by just walking along the top of the wall. When I got home, I measured the distance from here to here is 830 feet of continuous wall. And then the wall even continued on further, but it veered off in this direction, which is not where I wanted to go. So I jumped off the wall. There's a swamp zone down here too, so I ended up having to kind of go to the west like this and then come back around to get to this area. When I got here, I didn't find any evidence of the homestead, but I did find the spring. Was dug into the side of the ground with the head wall is armored up with rock. You'll see that in the video. And then from there, this dashed line was the old road from the 1929 map. I was going to try and follow that, but again, it was too overgrown. So I ended up bushwhacking over this way and over to the Little Devil Stairs Trail that I went up on, and then back to my car like that. Now, let me show you a couple other little things here. This is Stony Man, 1929. And right there, this is the Little Devil Stairs Trail coming up. And this is the driveway going down to the Clatterbuck place right here. And I got the coordinates off this map. And when I got down there and found the location, it was within about 40 or 50 feet of where it is on this map. Very accurate. And then I bushwhacked down this way towards the Miles Jackson Dyer and then around like this. And then this was his homestead location right there. And then this is the driveway or road that takes you back out. It just follows these feeder streams. Now there's another, it looks like there used to be another homestead up this way. I haven't figured out exactly where that is, but maybe one of these days I'll go back and take a look at that also. Now, one more thing I wanted to mention about that stone wall. I call this math for fun. That stone wall was 800, the part that I walked was 830 feet. And I eyeballed it as being about 8 feet wide at the bottom and about 5 feet high. So you multiply that out, gives you 33,200 cubic feet. And rock is about 150 pounds per cubic foot. That's 4.9 million pounds of rock. This family picked up and moved about 5 million pounds of rock or more, because I didn't calculate the total wall. They picked up at least 5 million pounds of rock and piled it up to create that wall. Ended up being a fairly short hike, 1.7 miles for the loop, with a total ascent of 256 feet. And that was the hike for today.